Hey there, hi there, ho there, everybody out there in Twitch TV land. How are woo? You see what I did there?
I did, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Well done.
Do you see what I did there? It was so welcome everybody out there watching to I would say a much anticipated live stream.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are excited about Warwick seeing some major updates.
That's right. That's right. Let me get some Warwick howls in the chat. Let's see if we can get some folks all hype about Warwick. How many of you all are hype about Warwick? Give me a Frank or Z if you are ready to see this rework of the very own Wolfman, our very own Wolfman. Let's see what happens. There we go. Look at that. Look at all the wooing. This is awesome.
Sweet.
I love it.
Sweet.
I love it.
I'm
Thank you
pumped as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Franker. Thank you, Franker. Thank you, Twitch chat. You guys rock. I am Andy Belford. I'm part of the player relations team here at Riot Games. I am joined today by Blake Soberenis, the playtester for Warwick during the Champ Up development. Blake, tell us a little bit about your league experience. Would you say you're a good league player?
Ooh, I don't know if I go that far.
He's pretty damn good.
He's pretty damn good. So Blake last season was Diamond / Masters. Previous seasons has been Masters and Challenger. Well, season 5 Master Challenger, and he is a member of our playtest team. The playtesters are a bunch of high MMR players who play every champ before they're released, give feedback to the developers, and all that good stuff. And there's a lot of familiar names, and you'll see them on our stream quite often. Also joining me today is Mr. Brad Wemban, Certainly T.
Hey.
Is that right? Certainly T?
Yes, that's correct.
I tweeted wrong earlier today. I said Certainty T, and I got all sorts of guff.
That's my Smurf account. Yeah.
Certainty T?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you heard it first here, folks. You can go ahead. You can add him in league. Blake, how are we doing on getting the in-house game going?
Looks like we should be ready pretty soon.
We're ready pretty soon? Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to actually be playing some Warwick. We're going to be answering your questions in chat. So if you have questions, hold on to them. I'll ask for them in just a little bit. We're going to play 2 games today while we're answering questions, and it should be super fun and exciting. I'm really stoked. Are you excited?
I'm really excited. Yeah,
All
I've been
right.
working on Warwick for a long time, so getting to give him to all of you, everyone who plays, is
Okay.
great.
So Blake, I do see that you're actually setting up your masteries right now. You mind if we jump over that real quick?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
So,
Here we go. I'm going to jump over to that. All right, so tell me a little bit about your mastery setup. You're obviously going to be playing Warwick Jungle, is that right?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I'm going for like a pretty heavy, like aggressive. You press R and like one-shot a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, you get stuff like Fervor Battle because R applies on hits. It stacks twice as fast. You get 2 stacks per hit. So you can almost fully stack Fervor with like your R and a Q. Other stuff like First Blood or Fresh Blood, like when you land with your R, it applies on hit effects, so it'll apply this. Gets natural talent. He has a lot of innate sustain to his kit, so this is just like free
Okay.
damage.
All right, I've got a lot of people saying fervor, question mark in chat right now.
Yeah, Fervor.
Okay.
So he gets he benefits more from Fervor than a lot of other champions.
Okay, so speaking about that, you and I talked a little bit yesterday, Brad, about Warwick, and there were some things that you said are kind of like the essence of Warwick that you wanted to make sure that we held on to in the rework, right? Can you talk a little bit about what some of those were before we jump into game?
Yeah, definitely. So one of them is actually something we're seeing here, which is like an affinity for on hits. This is a melee auto attacker who really wants to get up close to his enemies and continue striking them. That's different from maybe a more strongly ability-driven like champion who's just looking to burst you out with some abilities. Definitely also wanted to keep like the feeling of like that you are really good against low health targets. You're looking for those opportunities, and we actually played that up even more here. And then I think Warwick's ult has always been a really powerful ability, right? His base kit on live can feel a little dated, but the R is still super powerful, and so we wanted to put more gameplay into it so that opponents, instead of having to really just invest in like QSS as this one sort of strategic option against it, had more opportunities for play, but still keep the raw power of the effect there that your teammates could rely on you doing once you're familiar with Warwick and playing well.
Okay. All right, awesome. If you are just now tuning in, I am joined today. My name is Andy Belford, Riot's Will. I'm part of the player relations team here, and I'm being joined today by Brad Wenban, Certainly T, and Blake Soberanis, Thobaranath, as we established earlier. Also known as Sobe in game. And we're going to be playing some Warwick. Are we ready to get going with that?
Yeah, I think we're ready. We've got one guy setting up runes right now.
Okay, he's setting up some runes.
Trolling.
Okay, he's taking forever. Come on, chat. Motivate. Who is it? Is Dawn? Dawn
Yes,
is setting up
Dawn.
runes. Tell Dawn to hurry up. Come on, chat. Let's tell Dawn to get a move on it. I know we got a lot of folks out there who are very eagerly anticipating watching this. So. I guess a couple more questions. And by the way, before we get into those, I want to let the folks know who are already asking questions in chat right now. Some of the things that we cannot answer today are going to be questions about, like, how much does X skin cost, how much will Warwick cost, things like that. We're not really the folks to talk about that very much. This is more like a design and gameplay focused stream. If you have those questions, like, if we're able to answer them, we'll try, but just so that you know, like, we're not the definitive answer for things like that. Is that an accurate statement right now, Brad?
Yeah, that is accurate, but to the best of my knowledge, like, nothing much is really changing, right? Warwick is a like ultra cheap entry level 450 IP champ, and he'll continue to be that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I actually saw a question earlier on the Facebook gameplay, the ability GIF that we posted earlier, and somebody was saying, it wasn't really a question, it was kind of a statement. Somebody was saying, I really hope that they keep Warwick as this really good kind of basic champ to start off with, as like a good starter champ for people who are just coming into League. Is that kind of the intent behind him? So?
That was one of the main goals of the update. And, that's not always a goal with an update. Sometimes it's like we have carte blanche to make the champion really, whatever we feel is right for the kit we come up with. But I think for Warwick and maybe to some extent Tarek, right, there was this idea that it's like, hey, these champions fulfill a role in the game, in the player experience, the journey of learning League. And so a fair amount of work has gone into making sure that Warwick's kit leaves him still able to jungle when maybe you don't have access to every mastery or a complete rune page yet, make him able to be a champion you can find success on even if you haven't played 1,500 games of League of Legends. Contrast that with a lot of new champions we released, which are really for people who play a lot of League and have, are like, I wouldn't say beginning to tire of it, but are like looking for something fresh and new.
Yeah.
And
So-
where there's more complexity and difficulty.
Yeah, it's the difference. It's like the depth of mastery, right? Warwick is somebody that's easier to pick up, but still has that depth of mastery. Whereas other champs who have more complex mechanics are ones that are not going to be quite so easy to pick up. I realize I'm just restating exactly what Brad said, but that's just part of the job, right? I'm just kidding. I did see the question in chat a little bit ago. Chat is moving pretty quickly, folks, so I do apologize. About since California did legalize marijuana, are we adding Weedwick? As far as I know, we do not have plans for a 420 YOLO skin for Warwick. Is that right?
Well, I can't comment on the future, but no, it's not released.
Okay.
So things you'll notice right off the bat, Warwick has a ton of sustain. Like I mentioned, that's great for a newer player.
Yeah.
Obviously, an experienced player like Blake, who optimizes jungle routes, he's making different use of that, right? So Blake actually starts Rejuve Bead, which gets him, closer to Tiamat, which is a really big spike for Warwick. He's very single target, and so getting that Tiamat opens up a lot of speed at camps like the Raptors.
Okay, cool. So let's get a little bit of a close-up look at Warwick. Can you zoom in there, Blake?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What if they invade?
What if they invade? Well, I guess you're kind of screwed if they invade right now. That's gonna be great. I love it. Can you give us his taunt and all the other good stuff there?
Here's the joke.
Oh my God. I love it. The joke is great. He looks great, by the way. Hats off to the art team.
They did a great job, yeah.
Really kind of, I think, realizes that the new fantasy of Warwick, which is that kind of like, that was explored in the prose piece that we put out a couple weeks ago, or was it last week? Or was it this week? That was last week. Right? Last Friday.
Yeah.
Last week, yeah. We put out last week that's like kind of the experiment, right? Can you talk a little bit about that? I know that we talked a slight bit about like kind of some of the changes in lore and the story. Like, what has changed with Warwick's story?
So like basically we started and we looked at his old lore and it didn't resonate with us as much. This is right. Obviously, people will always want to change a little bit. You notice that Warwick starts W here actually When you're getting a good leash, W gives you substantial attack speed. Anytime a target is below 50%, it works against the jungle, so your team is helping you to get the monster low. Like W is just a free roll. So
Okay.
yeah. So his lore is that he was like actually like Singe's assistant, and we kind of thought about where Warwick and the man who was Warwick prior to him would exist in League's pantheon, how he would relate to all the other champions, and we kind of felt that we felt that a more like we just wanted a relationship with more conflict to it, and him having this kind of conflict with Soraka felt very fanciful to us. Like she's this sort of god aspect, and Warwick is a man, right? He is a person. It felt odd, and so we were really thinking about, well, what would happen if, how would you get transformed into what Warwick is now in Zaun, right? And Zaun is a place of progress through any means necessary, of science without any values behind it, run amok. And so Warwick being experimented on by Sin seemed the most logical.
Okay, cool. So, all right, so we've seen him do some of his abilities. Let's really quickly review his new kit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Warwick's passive is, on live it's you do magic damage and you heal for that. Now it's you do magic damage and you heal for even more if you're below 50% health. So you always do magic damage. That damage heals you if you're at full health. And if you're below 25% health, it heals you even more.
Okay.
His Q is still a targeted nuke. If you hold the button down now, instead of swiping, you actually bite the target, and you will bite into them, and then you're attached to them. So any movement they make, you'll follow, including like teleports. And over the course of 0.75 seconds, you kind of leap over them, as long as you hold the button down. W is mostly a passive. You can see actually.
Wait a second, Blake. If you can lower in-game sound when you get a chance by a smidge, that would be great. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sure. So W is mostly a passive. It is that low health enemies you have a massive attack speed steroid against, and you gain out of combat movement speed toward them. So you can see those blood trails in the ground. That's denoting that Warwick is able to move quickly across the map. So you have great strategic mobility, but it's conditional on taking advantage of short-term opportunities to present themselves to you. E is sort of a take on Jax's Counter-Strike. You press the button, you gain damage reduction. It actually gets really high at later ranks, maybe a little too high, I'm not sure. And when the effect goes off or you reactivate it, trading in your damage reduction, you fear everyone around you. So there's some nice synergy there between Q, which can take you over your target, and E, which is a flee to push people in the direction you want. And then Warwick ult is still a take on old Warwick ult. It is a dash that suppresses the first enemy champion you hit. The trick to it is that the range you can dash scales with your movement speed.
Okay, cool. Oh wait, did you sell your bead and switch to potions?
He grabbed a team
No,
out.
I turned into a team out there.
Oh, you turned into team out. Oh, duh. Never mind. Sorry. Whoa, level 5 solo. Okay.
So you'll notice a couple of things first off the bat. So like Blake is using Warwick's Great Sustain to get a really early dragon for his team, and he actually used the Blast Cone plant to get into the pit without having to go through the river. This is kind of risky because Kha'Zix is so bursty.
Yeah.
He's top lane though.
One thing we wanted, one thing, like reason why Warwick only heals himself with auto attacks below 50% health is that I was interested in the champion making some risks when he's pathing around like that. Like if Kha'Zix hadn't been showing, that would have been a really risky move because Warwick doesn't always get to be at 100% health. In exchange for that risk, we could just add more sort of power into the kit, right? More is possible when the things you're doing are risky rather than guaranteed.
Okay. So El Flaming Taco is asking, is the leap range from R capped at 1 point?
No.
Or does it goes further for every point added in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could theoretically... I don't know what the max possible is. I haven't done it, but we've had some, just in the course of normal gameplay, some really really long ones.
Some crazy long.
So
range
here, like
creeps.
Bard is low, and you can see that Warwick can like roughly track his position.
Yeah.
And also gain chase against him. Now use W's active there to track Kha'Zix as well. You'll notice it's on a really long cooldown, 90 seconds at this range.
Right.
Maybe he's gonna ult here.
Oh, got away.
Unfortunate.
Nick Wu with the pro plant plays there. Uh-oh, this may be bad here. Maybe not. No,
pretty
it's
bad.
bad. It's pretty bad there.
Yeah, so like one thing I've always loved about Warwick is that he's really, really melee, right? He doesn't
Yeah.
have a lot of range moves, and so it's just sort of there's a lot of intrinsically risky decisions to playing him, as opposed to maybe like someone like Lee Sin who can just poke with his Q when he wants to.
Right.
Obviously, has a lot of escape mobility.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he is a high risk, high reward champ at this point then.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think there are lots of ways to inject risk, right? Like, I think Lee Sin, for most players, is high risk, high reward because he happens to fall off pretty hard if you're not exceptional at using his R to just generate picks independently.
Gotcha.
But with Warwick, we don't have to inject that same level of risk in that way.
So there was a question up here from Death's Legion. It says, does this mean the W will reveal camouflage?
W doesn't
foes?
reveal anything in the sense of grant like true sight of them.
Right.
Instead, it sort of gives you can see roughly where they are by the particles going to them. So the trail will end at exactly Twitch or Evelyn's position. So
I see.
if you're watching closely and paying attention, it can give you a big leg up against those champions.
Okay, cool. So it's in a sense, it's kind of like a little bit like Charmer Sense in that sense. From
Totally, right?
Okay, cool.
Which is Rek'Sai's,
Rek'Sai,
W passive. You couldn't though just like Caitlyn ult to target,
Right.
Because you can't target them.
Okay, I noticed that we kept him as a mana based champ. Was that a deliberate decision, or was there ever like the
Yeah,
a
it
point
was
where we thought
actually
about that?
his Q is such a potent sustain move.
Oh my god, that's sustained. So close.
Yeah.
Out. Well, okay. Well, revenge shall be yours.
We'll call that worth it.
Call that worth. Okay. You just transferred the blue buff, right? Transfer complete.
Yep.
Okay. So Blake, tell me a little bit about your early item build here and what your dunk. Your thought. What your train of thought is as you're building him and basically like mid game-ish now.
So my main two items here that I'm going to be going for is I want Titanic Hydra because you apply it a whole bunch of times on your ultimate and on your Q. And I want to go for Cinder Hulk so I can get pretty tanky. I can't really fight Kha'Zix until I get some defensive stats. And if I go full offense, I'm like pretty hard gated by the R. So I'm going for a more consistent build where I just sort of rely on like Titanic Hydra doing on-hit damage and being pretty tanky.
So in your opinion, do you think he's going to be do you feel like the meta is going to evolve, that he's going to be building as a tankier jungler?
Yeah, I think so. I think those like full DPS options totally exist though. It's just riskier than a champion like I don't know, like Rengar or something.
All right. So you've been playing him for a few months now. Like, how do you feel about his outplay potential or his presence?
This guy has some insane outplay potential. Like he feels pretty like simple. Like you can pick him up and you can do Warwick things pretty easily. But the more I play this champion, the more I feel like there's a lot of depth to what I do. I have a lot of options, and if I play like everything correctly, I should have all the cards in a good fight.
Okay, and a question for you from Janadog04. So the new Warwick doesn't have an escape. Why did you not take Flash? Is Ghost better in your opinion?
Yes. So Ghost does a couple of things for you. First, Ghost increases your ulti range.
Okay. Oh, it increases your ult range?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. By the way, folks, if I act surprised about some of the things like that, it's because I am actually, like many of you out there, a scrub lord in silver. So I'm not the best at game. I know enough about the game, but I wouldn't say that I'm an expert by any means of the game. So just want to make sure that I clarify that before everybody calls me a complete noob. Which, go right ahead and call me a noob now. It's okay. By the way, if you do have a question about Warwick gameplay, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Just type @League of Legends so I can see it pop out a little bit better, more clearly, and I can ask it after that. So that's right. See, there we go. Low wrecked. Scrub Lord. That's right. Hey, here's another. Is the new Warwick currently seeing? Oh, I think he's asking like a ship question. Is the new Warwick currently romantically involved? All right. The Explosion X2. How long did it take to rework all the skins to fit? Fit new abilities and models. So I would say like what? I mean, Warwick is what we call a full visual upgrade, right?
Yeah, it takes a long time to get the skins right, and so with modern champion updates, like we actually start working on the skins before we know all of the abilities. Once we know what base Warwick likes, concept artists and modelers can start working on the models for the skins themselves without needing to know that the E has a recast or some specific thing like that. And then there's sort of a lull where we do all of the VFX and audio.
You're getting baited pretty hard right now, Blake.
Yeah, I got blasted.
Vane, that's Robert X. Lee on Vane, by the way, folks. If you may recognize that name. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So it's really throughout the entire process of doing the rework, which is about 6 months, that the skins are being developed.
Okay. Cool. Right on. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I'm seeing that question quite a bit here in chat. So obviously, Warwick is primarily intended to be a jungler. That's like kind of how we balanced around him in development and everything. Is it possible to play him in other lanes?
Yeah. So I guess it's like what is intended is odd, right? We balanced him. That was nice.
That was.
We balance him. We anticipate that he will be balanced around the jungle, which means that will probably be the most powerful place you can play him. We have some people internally that have had pretty good success with him top lane. I'm dubious that like you would ever like see him in a pro game by a sane pro player in top. But I think if you were really good at Warwick, you could have success with him there.
Yeah,
you probably have to play a little more of a roaming style to take advantage of his W. Historically, I think Warwick could just rely more on like spamming his Q on the opponent with some Doran's ring, and you probably can't do that anymore.
Okay, so we're not going to be seeing Darshan
Probably not.
playing Warwick
No.
in Spring Split, which is I think starting soon. Super exciting. All right, so let's check in on the game. It looks like the home team is not doing great. They're a little behind.
No, we're doing great, dude.
5 kills. You're doing great?
We've got a Fed Darius.
Okay,
We're
well that's
good.
true. Yeah, Fed Darius. Not quite a Fed Warwick. 1-3-1. So you're playing from behind right now, Blake. If you're playing in a live game, you're playing from behind a little bit. Kha'Zix is getting fed. What do you think your strategy is going to be right now?
Ooh, I just need a lot of farm. I think eventually I can outscale a Kha'Zix with tank stats, but for now I'm not going to have a whole lot of options to fight anyway.
Okay. So, by the way, folks, if I'm not calling out your name, I'm sorry. Chat's moving pretty darn fast right now, so I'm doing my best to catch questions as they go by. Somebody in chat was asking earlier, is Warwick still potentially a Bloodrazor jungler, or is it just like, do you think that the time of that Bloodrazor jungler is done?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't even think on live he's a Bloodrazor jungler. He's like a Cinderhulk tank. I wouldn't expect that he would do well with Bloodrazor. I think he can buy it, right? But I don't think it's like an optimal choice.
Okay, interesting. Let's see here. Carlson is asking what the big leap was showcased in the video on Facebook. That was the ult, right?
Yeah, so that's your ult. The cast radius of your ult actually scales with your movement speed.
That's right.
It's 2 seconds worth of movement, right? So right now he has 360 movement speed, and so the ult is basically 720 range. He now has 576 because he used his W, and so it would be a little over 1,000.
Oh, nice.
In the video, he actually gets an Orianna W speed boost and presses his own W for more speed, and I think presses Summoner Ghost.
All right.
So by stacking all of those up, you can get some really long initiation or thick ults.
Okay. So as somebody who is ult benefiting from movement speed, are players going to want to go with like Moby boots, or are you going to kind of want to stick with the more like traditional Merc Tread for a tankier jungler?
I mean, it really just depends on you, right? Like,
Rip.
Yeah, you probably need ult to fight Kha'Zix, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just depends on if you want to be really focused on your ultimate. Mobility boots would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh boy, here's the question I was expecting. Histicali is saying, I play AP Warwick. Will I be able to do that still?
You will be less successful, I think.
Okay.
He's definitely more focused on using AD or AS or tank stats than before.
Okay. XEV is asking, is his ult still a suppress?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that we said earlier was kind of iconic about Warwick was, the suppress on the ult was
Yeah, I felt like when
signature.
when you have a Warwick on your team, you know this really powerful thing that you're getting, and so didn't want to change that.
Okay. So Gravital Plus is asking, will you more fully explain the W? The global aspect of it and how it can be activated is very confusing to me.
Sure. So, the ability is fundamentally quite simple. Whenever an enemy anywhere on the map gets below 50% health due to the actions of you or a teammate, a trail draws to them, and you gain movement speed while you're running toward them anywhere, and you gain attack speed against them.
Oh no! The jukes! The jukes were real. Oh, you're rip. This is... I believe that the term for that was baited and outsmarted.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Move the
I'm
chess piece.
I'm just making sure. I watched that happening. I'm like, oh, not like
I'm a
this.
boosted monkey. Dude.
Not like this.
Yeah, you can still QSS the ult.
Okay.
QSS removes any form of CC, and this is a form of CC.
Okay. Do players get to see? Do your teammates get to see the blood trails?
Your teammates don't see the blood trail. No.
Oh, so it's only Warwick.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite noisy when everyone saw it.
Yeah, that does make sense. Like, because I'm looking at it right now, and like, while it's a really neat, like, really cool effect, and I think to me really delivers on the fantasy of like the blood scent thing. I think if for other players it would be very distracting.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So Nicalicus asks, does CC work on Warwick ult? Definitely. It's still a channeled ability, so you can still break an ally out. However, while Warwick is leaping, he's actually immune to CC for that duration. So you can if Ari charms you, you can ult with the missile in the air, negate it, and hit her with your ult.
Okay, Baron Wolf asked, is the Warwick rework currently active on the PvE? Yes, it is. It just went out today. We just finished our deploy not too long ago.
I think they're playing on PvE, right?
There we are right now playing on PvE. That Karma. There we go. We are right now playing on PvE, so you can jump on there, test them to your heart's delight. Make sure that if you are on PvE and you're testing them, please give us feedback. We would love to hear what you have to say. I think it's about time to get some vengeance for that jungle. Maybe not. Okay. He's gonna get saved. He's
No.
gonna get saved.
Unlucky.
So, Blake.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking earlier if we can get a good player to play Warwick.
Oh, then you picked the wrong guy.
Yeah, come on.
Come on.
Damn it, I
You
knew
knew
we
what
messed
you were
something
getting when
up.
you got me.
I'm just kidding. The chat was asking if you would mind hovering over some of the abilities so they can take a look at the scaling and the numbers and the whatnot.
Sure.
And since we have the gray screen bug right now, it seems like a good opportunity to do so.
I hate this bug.
Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about the scaling on some of these abilities, Brad?
Yeah. Right. So Warwick is kind of an AS proc champion. His passive gives him a lot of magic damage on hit, and his W gives him a lot of attack speed if he's in the right context. Mm-hmm. So items like Titanic Hydra are very good. In terms of buying AD or AP, like those stats aren't super great on him. I do like some AD because you just have a lot of attack speed, but he's not going to be turning his Q into like a massive nuke through those. And then he really likes defensive stats that allow him to multiply his healing over time effects, and he likes movement speed, obviously.
Okay.
So those are sort of major synergy.
So Blake Theamu1203 is asking, is the old school like Blade Ginsu's build still useful? Can Warwick actually be played as an assassin anymore?
Yes, I think it is. Although it's not as like Ginsu, I think, heavy as the old one. It's more about like Trinity Force. This new one you can apply Trinity Force when you apply your initial on hits with the R. You can apply it with your Q, you can apply it with your E, and you can apply it with the re passive. So you have a lot of tools to actually get that reset.
Oh boy.
Not win, but still good.
That's good. There we go. Double kill. Triple. Nope. Maybe. That mobility though. Oh! Look at that. Do we have the Quadra? I take it all back.
Oh.
Oh, no! He trolled himself.
Did I?
No. Oh, what? Oh my god. Really? Unofficial pen? No. We jinxed it.
Trevor, I hate you.
Oh.
Deny my penta?
So close. That was good.
Unbelievable.
I take back everything I said, Blake. You are not bad.
We'll call that a penta.
We'll call that a penta.
That.
One thing that I think is like hard to
Close enough.
notice. So first of all, it's like this champion honestly is probably, I think, a little bit overtuned at the moment. He's just getting on PBE right now, and we have some changes to the jungle income in PBE that should theoretically like hurt him because he's a reasonably scaling jungler.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of up in the air. So maybe he is a little overtuned. Regardless, like I think Blake played that fight extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned sort of at the beginning of the stream, like the Q while you're attached to your target, you move with them. And so he actually used Fiora's Q against her there to move favorably throughout the fight, which I thought was really cool.
Okay. So a couple of things. King Steez, I want to know, can you ask Blake if Righteous Glory is still viable since the ult scales with movement speed?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're going that super tanky build, Righteous Glory like is a third or fourth item, not a bad idea.
Yeah, Righteous Glory I think is underrated.
Very underrated item.
So.
Yep.
Wonder Woman, Wonder Man says, so the website's W description is wrong. It says the nearest enemy is blood hunted even when full health.
That's if you press the W active, which is on a fairly long cooldown at early levels, and a
Gotcha.
reasonable one at yep.
All right, so that's not the passive, that is the active.
No, the ability is primarily about the passive, and that's what
Right.
I think you will be successful if you play around.
Alrighty. Logos, we did talk about Bloodrazor versus Cinderhulk earlier. We're going to have the VOD up in a little bit, folks, so if you want to check that out, be sure to rewatch it then. By the way, if you're just now tuning in, my name is Andy Belford. I'm part of the player relations team here at Riot Games. You may also know me as Riot's Will. Joining me to my left, to your right, is Mr. Brad Wemban, a.k.a. Certainly T. He is the designer who is in charge of the Warwick Rework, although one of many folks who worked on the project. And all the way over on the other screen there is Blake Soberanis. He is the playtester who was responsible for playing Warwick throughout much of development. And sustain. Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm guessing any sort of Mortal Strike effect is still kind of like poison to Warwick at this point, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good against him. I feel like his sustain is a little burstier now, though, so you can sort of play around it if you're pretty cautious. But yeah, definitely if you're playing against a Warwick, Ignite is really good. Mortal Reminder is really good.
Okay. X Young Sav XS. How does Armor Pen and CDR affect Warwick's skill?
Ooh, you don't really want Armor Pen. CDR
Yeah,
is pretty great, but he does a lot of magic damage.
He does a ton of magic damage, and
Okay.
I think that's something that we preserved from the old Warwick. I actually kind of have some qualms or second thoughts about that decision. It's, there are a lot of items, just really great items like Black Cleaver that would be a natural fit on him that don't feel particularly great because he does so much magic damage. Plus side, though, is that you can really feel like you're a damage threat as the game progresses because you don't get sort of shut down by armor.
Gotcha. So, question, I guess, like if you were a little bit more ahead right now, Blake, would you have instead gone with like a Triforce build instead of going into DMP?
Maybe.
Okay. Since he is the hybrid damage. Oh, that movement speed, so sexy. Sorry, folks. I'm not. I wish I was a shoutcaster right now. I'd be given the detailed play-by-play.
Oh, he was about to get his fear off.
Yeah.
It was. He's so close. That would have been like a three-man fear too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That would have been really
Probably
good.
wouldn't have been enough, but
So yeah, tell me a little bit about Triforce on New Warwick. That question has now popped up several times since he is more of that hybrid magic or AP slash.
I mean, so
physical damage.
you can proc Sheen on your Q. Q applies on hits now, and obviously he really likes, all of the stats. CDR is powerful on Warwick. Attack speed is really useful on Warwick, and the upfront damage that Sheen procs give you help you to get targets below 50% health, which is really where you want to be. So it's an empowering item. No, Trinity is like quite expensive, so it probably makes sense that Blake didn't do it now. And the Tiamat is really good on Warwick, so you can't just rush it without trade-offs. You're making a pretty big trade-off to go Trinity for it. It used to be even more powerful, and people felt like it was a no-brainer to do that. Now I feel at least like it's a pretty good option.
Feels bad for Fiora. She got way behind in top lane, and now she just can't even stand toe to toe there. Although, oh god, oh man, oh.
Unfortunately.
The Zhonya's, I almost called it stasis. The Zhonya's into the ult. That's pretty brutal right there. Pretty brutal. Chedge21, is Nashor's Tooth still a viable item on Warwick?
No.
No.
Probably not, but I mean, you guys should
No.
like play around with it. Like,
Yeah.
Our goal is to like make. My goal is to like make a kit that can be built in different ways, not to like make it so that Nashor's Tooth is optimal on Warwick or not optimal. That's you guys figure that out.
Okay. So we talked a little bit earlier about how old Warwick's gameplay was kind of binary, right? It was very much so. You kind of like walked around. You walked around. You farmed your jungle until level 6 and hoped that nothing really happened until then. How do you feel like this rework has changed that approach to playing Warwick in the early levels?
I mean, I think that there is a lot more like variance now to him, right? You'll actually see Blake's had a relatively poor game for ultimates.
Yeah.
This game, and so you're not just done if you're behind. Even if the ult could get to a point where it one-shot you, you would still be able to have some actions you could take to try to stop Warwick.
Right. Well, it looks like he's also playing up against a team that is. It looks like the comp, like they stacked a pretty difficult comp for him to play against. It looks like, because pretty much all the champs there have a viable escape that can be used to get away from his ult, and so they're.
Yeah, I think this is a good comp, but it's a realistic comp you'll see. I think it's just worth noting that it's like, the Warwick has a lot fewer trump cards. Like on live, Warwick is basically like a couple of trump cards, and then abilities that don't really function very well outside of that context, right? It's like, hey, it's really hard to gank lanes or participate meaningfully in the game without your ult at early levels on Warwick. It was a constant thing we heard from players.
Gotcha.
So we took a little bit of power out of those trump cards, and in exchange gave him a lot more options throughout the game.
Okay. So one thing that people are noticing is that his ult is no longer point and click. It is a skill shot.
Yeah.
In fact, people are pointing it out to Blake quite frequently.
I need to hit one this game.
You can
That
do
would
it.
be
I believe
nice.
in you, man. I believe in you.
That's one of us.
So we are going to stick around and play one more game after this, folks. It's going to be another in-house game. And we're actually going to let you all vote on which skin Blake will use in the next game. So Mini White Rabbit should have that survey, that straw poll ready here in just a second. So we'll put it up in here and we'll check the results after this game and see which one y'all want to see played next. Winter Ice is saying, hey, why didn't you build Spirit Visage for the increased healing?
They have Morello user. If I get low, I don't actually get healing.
That's true.
Oh, but he
because
didn't
they
even buy
have
Morello's, so I don't have a good reason anymore.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you should buy Spirit Visage.
You should buy Spirit Visage, yeah.
Yeah, Warwick has strong synergies with Spirit Visage.
Well, especially against this comp. I mean, they have what? Oh, wait, no. Never mind. They only have one AP user.
That's fine. I mean, the healing is enough reason to buy it, really.
That is true. Like additional sustain.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Is like with Spirit Visage? Does that just make his self heal just like insanely bursty?
It's pretty massive. Like, so he heals 100% of the damage he deals with his R.
Right.
And so you increase that by 25%, and that can end up being a lot of effective HP.
Okay. So does his Q still have the self? Was it his Q that had the self-heal component on the old one?
Yes.
The swipe.
Yeah, it still does.
It
It's
still
a
does,
pretty
okay.
beefy heal. It's still percent max health, percent of the target's health. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Remember, folks, if you do want to ask questions, just put all the kappas. What just happened here? I think I missed something.
Rise is killing
Rise is
everything.
completely broken champion.
You heard it here first, folks. Actually, you probably didn't hear it here first. Alrighty, so let's take a look. League of Legends, nice. So this is Skyhawk is asking. It's more of a Volibear question. I don't think so. Skyhawk, you can actually see if somebody will type exclamation point reworks. I think you can actually see the full list of who we have on the calendar for reworks this year. I believe that the next rework scheduled and that's announced is what, Galio?
Yep,
Is that right?
Galio and then Urgot is the current plan. Obviously,
okay.
that's always subject to change if like something
Something changes, yeah.
happened. Like if we basically weren't like happy with the quality of what we were doing, we would change it. But I actually think both of those are looking really great at the moment.
Oh my God.
Vein
The
spotting.
the spam is going nuts with the reworks. We don't all have to do it, I promise. Oh my Lord. Somebody was asking about Keystone Mastery. So I know that Blake went Fervor of Battle. Is that right?
Yep.
Like
Okay.
with Fervor, I tend to go Courage myself because I'm just sort of like play a less aggressive playmaking role early since I'm maybe not as confident in myself or something. But yeah, I think there are a number of keystones that could make sense on him.
Okay. I know a bunch of I regret everything, Twitch chat. I regret it all so much. So much. Maybe we don't have that command in there. I think I just trolled Twitch chat. It's okay.
Yes, someone asks, do enemies know when they're being blood hunted? They do, in fact. Actually, they get a really loud audio cue right now. It might be too loud. We're not sure, but
Okay.
it certainly puts you in a state of apprehension, and it is very clear that you are at risk.
We I think we talked about this yesterday in our prep meeting, but I was talking about the teaser trailer, right? The teaser trailer that we published yesterday morning. Aside from being just amazing for environment and kind of ambiance, that trailer to me, and I'm gonna fanboy a little bit right now. I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back at all, but in the sense that trailer to me just really delivered on the fantasy of that whole terrifying blood. You cut your hand, oh God. It's like the big furry shark in the water can now get me. This does not look good for the home team.
Yeah, they did an awesome job. I think it's fine.
That was a good.
Oh.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, it did. The CG is really hit the mark on terms of the fantasy of the character, and
Yeah.
hopefully the gameplay does too.
So far, so good. To me, it does feel like it does that. Hopefully next game will go a little bit better for Blake. He can land a few more ults.
We're winning this game, dude. It's obviously because of me. Look at this.
You're winning.
Yeah, did you see me win that fight there? Silk ulties, That's how that works, right?
Totally.
Yeah, yeah,
You've been playing great this game.
Silk ultimates,
Is this what solo queues like?
This is exactly what solo queues like.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Alrighty, let's see here. So yeah, Tony with the Y. We did answer the question about stealth champ. So his W does not give him true sight. It does give them kind of like a Rek'Sai's tremor sense in that sense, where you can actually see the kind of approximate area where they are right now. Did Nick Wu go with a tank build on Kha'Zix?
No.
Yes.
Oh, yes, he did.
He's trolling.
He is trolling.
Yeah.
Wow. Nick. Well, this guy's got a full build path for you right now. Dagu411 says, wouldn't it make more sense to get Skirmisher's Blood Razor, Titanic Hydra, Ginsu's Rageblade, Mercury Treads, Blade of the Ruin King? I mean, that seems like if you want to go with a straight up damage build, right? Although maybe not the Blood Razor.
Well, I think that's a fine build. It's a little hard to stack the Ginsu, but I mean, you can get it with your ulti and pretty quickly, right? It's probably good.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that works on this guy. I'm not even really sure what 100% like for sure the optimal itemization is. He has a bunch of stuff that he's pretty good with, and I could see him working with those.
Let's see here. Oh, this is a great question from Dwarven Giant here. Brad, now that Warwick has finally been revealed, can you say what you've learned from this design experience? Warwick being your first visual game update, and very different than the rather high skill floor champs that you've been known for. So, for those of you who don't know, Brad is responsible. Was responsible for leading the design team on Thresh and Yasuo, and who else am I missing here?
Yeah, I did the mechanics design for In Order, Darius, Zyra, Thresh, Yasuo, Callista, and I think Thresh, Yasuo, and Callista are obviously mechanically intensive, but you know, it's from my perspective, it's like I just felt that sort of those at the time they were released, it made sense to be making mechanically intricate champions to offer players at the time. By contrast, like Darius was my sort of first design, and the thought process there was, hey, we were looking for like a top laner who was, you know, less mechanically, I guess intricate is the word I would use again. Someone that was just, you know, clearly sort of had a few more things to think about and optimize than Garen, but not necessarily as much as a Lee Sin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And so, yeah, the question is, what were the design lessons? I actually think it's always too early to tell, right? You have to like actually release it.
Oh, nice steal.
Wow, that was great. Like, right. So one powerful thing about the ult is literally just the raw amount of mobility you can get. Like he was able to, without the enemy team, like essentially bypass their wards and smite really quickly. That was well played, Blake. Yeah, it's always too early to like learn lessons before something actually ships, because we don't know yet what's healthy or unhealthy, or honestly, we can't be certain about what's fun or not fun before you guys play with it and tell us. That being said, what I'm hopeful for is that we, you know, like when we're thinking about what makes a champion appealing to new players, Warwick for me is sort of an argument that it's like, hey, them lacking optimizations is not really the thing that makes champion appealing to new players. I actually think that can turn off new players a lot of the time because you might not see a future with the champion. Instead, to me, like and this applies to anytime you're making a game. Like what's great for a newer player is something that doesn't have a lot of like things that I think we would ungenerously call traps, right? Decisions that like it appears like you should be taking option A in a certain context, but actually, you know, you should be doing something very different.
Okay. Neslu9, we are going to be doing asking, can we have another game as DPS? Warwick Tanks was kind of cool, but I want to see his damage potential. We are going to do another game, but I think the build is. I mean, it's a game with the playtest team, so like the build is kind of like determined by how the game goes. I mean, more than anything, I would say. Ooh, okay, 2 for 0, 2 for 0 is good. Maybe more. Looks like you guys got to go and stop top lane from being taken though. Or at least get all that delicious, delicious farm. It looks like Glebe is starting to blow up now.
Yeah, one like sort of cool thing about the W is that you can actually get back to fights really quickly. It's obviously not as fast as teleport, but if I think it was it Bard hadn't died there, or like Warwick would have been back into the engagement really quickly.
So we've had this question come up a couple of times. Damos G is asking specifically about activatable items, and then I saw somebody ask earlier about smiting. So can you actually activate items or smite while you're mid ult? So like if you're flying in the middle of the air, can you activate things while you're in path?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like Zac is notorious for that. I imagine it would be much harder to like specifically do a drive-by smite on Warwick, but the reason why you can activate them is just so it doesn't like get in your way that you pressed it 0.1 seconds too early before landing.
Okay. I need to find the pole. Where's the pole? Kristen, can you put the poll back in the chat, please? There it is. Zambot. Yeah, no. Open the poll. Stop moving. God bless. All right, let's. Whoa, good night. Too much stuff. All right, let's view the results right now. So, taking a look at the poll right now, it looks like Hyena Warwick is winning the next. So make sure you click on the poll, folks, to see which skin we're going to play in the next game. We're going to play another game here in a minute. And Hyena Warwick is running away with it, although Firefang Warwick.
Those are both really good-looking skins, and I think the they did a really creative take on both.
Very cool.
Yeah, Hyena's kind of a nod to like Mad Max.
Okay. Oh, really? So
in my opinion, yeah.
So it's a little like a little dystopian post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
look to it?
definitely.
Very cool. I like it. Yes, all this. So for those of you who are asking about like specific skins, will they get reworked with the VGU? Yes, all of them have been reworked. Even Earth the Manatee, they've all been reworked. So.
Oh yeah, that's just pretty standard now. Obviously, if you've if you've supported us by buying a skin, like we're definitely going to try to give you the highest quality update we can.
Oh. Gee, manies, so much shield there on that vein. Although, is it a trap? Is it a trap? I think it's a trap. He's fine.
Yeah.
I meant a trap for the other team. Sorry.
You can see, like, I'm actually a little worried about how durable Warwick gets in situations like that. Obviously, this game has sort of reached, like, the ultra late game where the normal rules of League of Legends start breaking down when you're at 6 items, but that's one thing we'll be watching for in PvE. I would love it if players felt empowered to, like, buy aggressive items and build, not just raw durability items.
Gotcha.
So if those are too good, they can actually be constraining. It's like, hey, your champion is completely balanced around buying those.
Okay. By the way, folks, I do see the questions about Grey Warwick and Earth the Manatee or Earthwick. We're not really talking about skins and what we're releasing in the store right now. This isn't really we're not really the folks to talk about that. If you have those questions, make sure you post them on the boards or. Also, I know that usually, like we do AMA type things on the boards or on the subreddit, talking about that. I think those are like the best opportunity to get those kind of questions answered because then you have not just like design, but you also have folks who are involved with like art and other aspects of Warwick at that time. So right now, unfortunately, we really can't answer a lot of those questions. We did say a little bit earlier about like I don't think we plan on like changing the price of Warwick itself. I think Brad said that earlier. But that's about as far as we can go there. So, Galio's rework is the next one on the list. Tibre monks for the win. True, I can't even notice that. By the way, if you're just now tuning in, welcome to the stream. My name is Andy Belford, aka Riot Zwill. I'm part of the player relations team here at Riot Games. I am joined today by Blake Soberanis over here playing Warwick right now. He is the main playtester for Warwick during development. And that, oh man, those troll Bardolds, man. And of course, sitting to my left is Brad Certainly T. Wenban, the mechanics designer for Warwick. Is that right? Mechanics designer? Is that what we call it? Okay, cool. I don't know if we like say gameplay or mechanics. There's so many different kinds.
Yeah, I'm a game designer, but I'm a certain kind of game designer, right?
Gotcha.
There are lots of game designers that do other things.
How did you guys win that?
Warwick.
Warwick.
The Warwick play is really good.
It's the Warwick plays.
We only got Grace Green bugged like 13 times or something.
15, I think it was. Was it 15?
I wouldn't be surprised,
What
really.
was your, let's see what your stats were. No, 16, I'm sorry.
16.
16. So, but you...
I soaked a lot of ultimates.
You did soak a whole lot of
That's what that was right there. That was a lot of ulti soaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's, I'll tell you what, let's go over here. I'm just going to, like, drag this onto the screen here. Let's push this over here so the folks at home can see.
Oh, people are going to try clicking on it.
People are going to try clicking on it.
They'll pause
Do not
their-
click on your Twitch screen. All right, folks, so here's the current results of the vote right now. Let's get rid of that little ad showing over there. So it looks like Firefang Warwick is actually taking the lead right now. We're going to leave this open for just a couple more moments while we take some more questions from the chat and we set up the next game. So we're going to do one more game, and we're going to play a skin in the next game. So if you want, vote on the poll. We do have the thing. The poll is being posted in chat right now. So, hey, Tyrion.